Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and wherever you are, and welcome to the international webinar on the role of interreligious alliances in addressing violence against religious minorities. Today is August 22nd, and we are commemorating the International Day on Victims of Acts of Violence based on religion or belief. We are so blessed to have such an esteemed lineup of speakers who represent different religious and ethnic minorities from their respective countries. I'll start off with Mr. Bharat Patankar, Dr. Anjuman Ara Begum, CHANU Sharmila, and RUKI Fernando from Sri Lanka. As I said, all of our esteemed special speakers have been actively involved in advocating for the rights of their respective communities. As I said, that today we are commemorating the International Day of Victims of Acts of Violence based on religion and belief. We often observe that minorities are often always been scapegoated across the world, and as a result of this, they endure physical violence, mental torture, social, economic, legal, and systematic injustices. But seldom do we see them to rise up against the injustices they face as a common group. Today, we will dwell into into the reality today, and unpack the reasons and causes for not having such alliances, or even if there are such alliances, how far have they gone to address the common cause? So, as a proceeding, I would like to request Bharat Patankar ji, who is a leading activist, a co-founder and president of the left wing of Shramik Mukti Dal and a peasant movement in Maharashtra. He has been serving for his community for more than four decades as an activist who has worked for movements of farmers, evictees, agricultural laborers, the drought eradication movement, alternative culture, cultural movement, women liberation movement, anti special economic zones movement, and coal-based PowerPoint movement based on alternative energy proposals. Thank you so much, Bharatji. I would request you to come forward and express your viewpoint.
Uh, so to begin with, I will say that, as title says, that interreligious alliances for preventing or for protecting minorities against violence, religious violence. So I think that the totality of any religion cannot be unified as a religion for doing this task. For example, in South Asia, if we take people who call themselves Hindus, so they are divided into various castes. The castes are hierarchically situated, and those caste people are exploiting. The lower caste people are exploited by the highest of the rung caste. So the unity of that religion as a whole for preventing this is impossibility. So we have to say that majority are exploited people in that particular religion. Some other kind of a concept we should be having to have this alliance from the people who are coming from various religions. So it is not cannot be the alliance between the religion, people from the religion, but the people from the religion, not religions. So that also has affected Muslim religion people in India. So they are also divided among themselves along the lines of the caste, maybe in different way, but they are hierarchically situated, and they are lower and upper rungs in that, and there are contradictions within that religion. The Christianity in India also the same thing is there. In South Asia, basically in South Asian countries, it is going to be the problem. If you go towards Buddhism, so acceptance of the modern Buddhism after Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, there's some particular caste from which Babasaheb Ambedkar in which he was born. That caste is the majority caste in Buddhism, modern Buddhist converted people. And there are contradictions based on caste amongst the Buddhists here. So that also is not that way a unified religion. It should have been actually as a religion. It is very equalitarian, etc. So in this sense, I will say that the alliance could be successful only if we have alliance of people who are ideologically against this violence or oppression of the religious minorities from very many or all religions. And as far as the masses are concerned, we can say that the alliance should be between the people who are oppressed by those religions themselves. And it is almost equation is there that the higher you go into the hierarchy of the caste in any religion here, not theoretically but practically. Of course, Brahminic religion is theoretically also talks theoretically also about hierarchy and it defends the hierarchy, but other religions don't defend the hierarchy theoretically. So, so in both of these kind of religions, we should go for the what in India is called Pasmanda caste, for example, in Muslim religion. Those kind of things. Now, not that we are not going to approach any other section of people in that religion, but mainly speaking, this is one point. Secondly, the question comes about women. Uh, so women are basically roughly half of the part of the population of any religion. So again, in the Brahminic religion, what they call themselves as Hindus, they are worst affected by the basic concept of the caste system itself, and women are below the lowest caste. So of course, Jyotiba Phule, who was the first theoretician after Buddha, talking about the hierarchy in the caste system, he says that the women are below any most exploited caste in the caste hierarchical religion, Brahminic religion. So, question is that how women are going to take part in this kind of activity, because it is half part of the whole every religion. That creates a problem in the thoughts of every other religion also, because they are also, generally speaking, it is not preached by the religion, or maybe there are some overtones, but generally, practically speaking, women are less in number taking part in the public activity. Apart from some movements, big movements, people's movements, women come to the streets and they take part in the struggles in big numbers. But these are the very few kind of incidences. So in that sense, women also should be thought about that how we are going to mobilize women. Formed here an organization called Hindi Hai Hum Hindostan Hamara. So Hum Hindi hai, not Hindu, but all of us living in India are Hindustani. And this line is from Iqbal's poem or song. And Hindi Hai Hindostan Hamara included not only Muslims, basically it was founded for fighting against atrocities against Muslim religious minorities, Muslim people who were made target from more. They were made target for the Brahminic religion more after they toppled and they planned to topple the Babri Masjid. So after that, we formed this organization in which many religious people coming from many religions came together. They called themselves Hindustani, and we said that we are united against Hinduism, Brahminic Hinduism. And we are not Hindu or Muslim or anything. We are Hindustanis. So that also could be applied for cross country activities. That we are all humans, that kind of a thing. So in that sense, I think in our experience is that the women took part in a large number in this. Maybe some religious women had parda etc., but they also came with all that thing and took part in the indefinite sit-ins in a big grounds at the capital of Maharashtra state. And in those days, we could do something to stop the aggressiveness and stop the actively inculcating atrocities against the Muslim minority religious people in those days. Still, it is today also the same thing is happening, and again it is repeating itself in a different way. So I think that if, as far as subject is concerned, it is better to frame the subject in these kind of these kind of theoretical understanding. Then we could go and approach people and say that this is not alliance of alliance of various religions, but it is alliance of uh, exploited people from all religions against atrocities which are perpetrated uh, against the religious minorities. Here, another question is about Adivasis. So many of the Adivasi movements in India, Adivasi Ekta Parishad is one of the biggest kind of organization in India. Our some of us are taking part in that also. So Adivasis have got no religion. That way they say that we have got no religion. We are just people. We are just saying people's culture, Adivasi culture. So no religion for us. So that their fight now is against imposing Brahminic Hinduism on the Adivasi tribal culture in various states and making them in course Hindus and Brahminic Hindus. So that again should be considered because then their population is also not small. So their inclusion in this alliance, because they will not come in the alliance of the various religions, this is a community. So inclusion of Adivasis or tribals also should be there in this kind of alliance against the religious minorities, atrocities against religious minorities. Otherwise, what happens that it becomes the opposition becomes symbolic and mass mobilization in big way doesn't take place in many at many instances. Only when this NCC etc. were forced upon some years back, uh, that kind of alliance in India, in any many states in India, that women also were sitting in the big congregations, and all the religious people from all religions also are sitting, and basically participation of women and different religious people, that kind of a strength is shown. But that is again have gotten dispersed in this period. So again, we have to re-strengthen it and go ahead. I think my time is almost finished.
Thank you so much, Bharatji, for explicitly or comprehensively providing your overview. And you've rightly said that, I mean, this was a topic of, a generalized perspective. So if you basically wanted to have, or sorry, particularized perspective. So if you want us to make a tweak into a topic, we basically could be talking about inclusivity, right? Inclusive alliances of inclusiveness could be the case. You have categorically explained about the role of women and how women are being neglected as certain groups and certain religious minorities and communities as well. You talked about the issues that the Adivasis are facing, and they about their selection of different religion. So moving on, since you've talked about women's perspective, there's another woman in line with us from your own country as well, Dr. Anjuman Ara Begum. She uh, is an associate professor and a coordinator at Royal Global University. Previously, she served as research fellow for a joint project between CRG Kolkata and IWM Vienna. Dr. Begum has an exclusive experience as the executive director of Women Leadership Training Center to advancing women's leadership and legal education. Anjuman Araji, the floor is all yours. Please start with.
Thank you so much. I would like to share my experience in Northeast India, where I basically work. And Northeast India, as you know, it consists of 8 states and bordering China, Myanmar, and Bangladesh and Bhutan. And this region has more than 200 various small and large communities, and also near about equal number of different language and dialects are also there. And the region has a lot of uh, conglomeration of different cultures, different ideologies, and of course very fragile issues like the armed conflict situations. So, uh, so based on that, like since independence in 1947, when the partition of South subcontinent took place, there was dissatisfaction among the indigenous communities regarding the partition, and there was a demand for a separate statehood, and that gave rise to insurgency. It started with the Naga movement. Nagas they consider as unique culturally, and they think that they have their own right to be have their own state. So similarly, we have seen that over the years, this insurgency has spread over to the other communities. Like in Assam, we had long movement. Then also in Manipur, and various other states. And if we see that there are also communities where we see that say 1500 people, we have communities like that also. So in this context, over the years, what we have seen the two kind of conflict. One is armed conflict, internal armed conflict, which I have already explained. And there, the state has played a major role. They have passed a lot of draconian laws. And one of the most famous, IROM Sharmila is also there. She has protested against it for hunger strike for 16 years, which is Armed Forces Special Power Act. And this act, since 1958, has resulted into a culture of injustice and impunity. And even till now, in the Supreme Court, there has been a very significant case is pending, which has challenged the killing of 128 people. So, in this context, the interreligious alliances and and any other kind of groups that promotes peace is very important for us, and it has provided not only reconciliation but also healing and other kinds of social needs that people have usually in a conflict situation. And apart from this, we have witnessed a large number of ethnic conflict as well in this region. If you see in Assam, there had been a series of inter-ethnic conflict between the Muslims, Boros, then the border areas, Assam, Nagaland, and currently there's also a brewing conflict between the border areas in Assam and Meghalaya. So in this kind of ethnic conflict also, we have seen the importance of ethno-religious alliances. I would like to mention that one of the network that I am associated with. We have a network called Women in Governance, and we'll basically look into how we can promote women's leadership in decision making position. We believe that if women are included in the governance, not only formal governance, but also the informal governance system we have in the Northeast India through the customary laws, traditional bodies, and I think that that can bring an everlasting changes. In Northeast India at present, there are about 17 peace negotiations are going on with different insurgent groups. As per the government report, there are about 40 to 42 insurgent groups active in this region. And what we found over the years, several studies has also claimed that these peace processes are not aimed to bring, is not aimed to, lasting peace process. And that's why if we see that in Manipur, for a very short of period, people thought that the killing under APSO has reduced, so probably peace has returned. But we can see that immediately the conflict has taken a different shape. Another kind of conflict has been erupted for nearly a year now. And and so this women in governance, what we have done over the years, it was established in 2012. We are consist of 7 steering committee members from different religion and different backgrounds, and we have members across the Northeast India, around 2,000 women grassroots workers. So these women, they immediately, whenever there is a conflict, they respond with the very basic needs, focusing on women, children, and other elderlies, and whatever way resources we could collect, we try to support. And same thing also happened during the recent conflict in Manipur. There were nearly 700, relief camps. It came up, and where our members were present in nearly 300 camps, and they have provided with the basic needs. And also, for a larger and lasting effect, we also filed a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court where the cases of sexual violence, the widespread report, a video has gone viral where a woman has been, the two women has been paraded naked and then they were gang raped. So many crucial issues were laws and sections were not added to this case. So that is one of the case that we have to fight legally as well. So we are also one of the petitioner in this case, and the case is going on. Supreme Court has already established a committee with 3 female retired judges, and the investigation is going on. So what I want to highlight is that in a place, I am talking most specifically in Northeast India, here so far the religious identity is in the society is not that a major one, but more the ethnic identity is the more prominent among the people. So in these situations, inter-religious alliances can do a lot. It can have, it can explore differences as a group. Since we are a very diverse and inclusive group, we could go into explore the areas of two conflicting communities. We can enter their place and we can give a message of peace. Then also we can initiate dialogues. We also initiated that not only women, not only in the formal governance body, but also the customary bodies, the women should be included such that the peace can be achieved. The 33% reservation has become a law now, but that has been one of the part of our demand for a long time. So I just want to highlight that in a country or in a situation of us where we are a very diverse community, this interfaith alliances and interfaith harmony, promotion of interfaith harmony is very important, and that should be a part of not only for the civil society but also the part of government policy making as well. With that note, I would like to end here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anjuman Araji, uh, for accepting the need of alliances or uh, there's a in the presence of existential or threats or the issues that different minorities or different religious and ethnic groups face in Northeast India as well. So since we have a very short time, I would like to request our next speaker, Mr. RUKI Fernando, who initially asked me to invite him secondly, but I mean I have to take care of the gender equalities perspective as well. So Mr. RUKI Fernando is a Sri Lankan human rights defender, writer, an educator involved in campaign and advocacy in Sri Lanka and in Asia as well. His focus area are included transitional justice, freedom of expression, human rights defenders, UN human rights system, minority rights, religious freedom, refugee, internal displacement, enforced disappearances, political prisoners, and etc. Presently, he is a consultant to the Center for Society and Religion in Colombo, which is CSR. Formerly chairman of Rights Now Collective for Democracy Executive Committee of Free Media Movement in Sri Lanka. Ruki, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. So I'll talk about interreligious alliances and violence against religious minorities from a perspective and experiences from Sri Lanka. First, to highlight in a general way statistically that in Sri Lanka, the majority religious community are Buddhist. We have a significant number of Hindus, Muslims, and Christians, and there are diversities within these religious groups as well. Our constitution guarantees religious freedom through one particular article, article number 10, and this cannot be restricted under any circumstances. But there are other constitutional guarantees in relation to religious freedoms, which can be restricted. No, I think these are very simple and straightforward in some ways, although very controversial also. For example, the right to practice was constrained during the pandemic, COVID-19. There are also offences that kind of try to protect, from which religions are trying to be protected, and these are common for everything. So they don't refer to one particular religion. So for example, injuring or defiling a place of worship with intent to insult the religion of any class is considered an offense under our penal code. And there are many other similar clauses. There is a relatively new law called the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights Act in Sri Lanka, which also tries to protect religious freedom in some ways, particularly from incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence against anyone. So these don't refer to any particular one religion. It says religions in general. But we also have something that seems to be a contradiction, which is Article 9, which talks about one religion, the majority religion, which clearly says that the Republic of Sri Lanka shall give Buddhism the foremost place, and it shall be the duty of the state, of any government, to protect and foster the Buddha Sasana while assuring to all religions the rights guaranteed by other articles I have referred above. So this very clearly constitutionally gives foremost place to Buddhism, the majority religion. And all governments, officials, institutions will have to follow and do certain things in order to implement this constitutional article. So this is something that is being debated for a long time. So in general, most individuals and communities engage in religious practices. And also, like people go to the temple, Buddhist temples, the Hindu temples, mosques, and Christian places of worship. They celebrate their festivals. Often our political leaders go and visit different religious leaders. Particularly now, we can see it happening again because we have presidential elections coming up next month. Also, people have good personal relationships. So our neighbors could be a Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, person of Islamic faith, and they would generally have good relationships. They would attend each other's celebrations like a wedding or a birthday party. They would attend each other's funerals, a time of sadness as well. So good personal relationships. But this doesn't hide the fact that there are regular violations of rights to religious freedom in Sri Lanka. I'm showing particularly something that is very symbolic. The photo you see below is a photo of the Buddha, and this is in the airport, the major international airport in Sri Lanka, in Katunayaka. This is something that we will see as soon as we enter the airport. It's a massive Buddha statue. On top is a slightly smaller one, a photo that I had taken of a small town near the airport called Negombo. And that town the majority happens to be Catholics in that particular town. And we do have towns in Sri Lanka or villages that the majority are of Islamic faith, of Christian faith, or Hindu faith. So this is one example. And in that town in Negombo, the municipal council has a very big Catholic statue. So this indicates to me that majoritarianism is rampant in Sri Lanka. At the national level, Buddhism is dominant as a majority, and at local level, other religious traditions and symbols can be dominant, as I have shown. Now, this is a government office, called the Divisional Secretariat in the Eastern Province in Sri Lanka. This is a place I went to, and I took this photo. It was in the auditorium. Now, I think it tries to showcase, in some ways, religious coexistence and tolerance. But there is people can argue that the Buddha symbol is dominant. That is in the center. And there is also a symbol for Islam, and there's also a symbol for Hindu. But some people have argued that the Christian symbol is missing. So there can always be these kinds of limitations. So the types of religious freedom violations can range from violence, destruction, death due to religious belief, legal restrictions and different laws, including the constitutional provision in Article 9 that I mentioned before, discrimination based on religious faith, false arrest and imprisonments, forced closure of churches have happened, taking over of Hindu shrines and sacred areas have happened in Sri Lanka, including at the present, and obstructions of religious education. So these are the kind of types of religious freedom violations. And this is a kind of an infographic, but this is some time ago in 2017. But I think it's still valid. The numbers may vary, but this kind of thing is still valid. So we can look at from a personal perspective, which I mentioned before, but also traditions and customs. Like we can say that for many years or many decades or many centuries, we've been having this. So therefore, we should tolerate it. But we can also look at it from a more policy or legal perspective, particularly from a rights perspective, from the Constitution, but also from international law, international human rights standards. And then, of course, it is very political. Although we can say that religion is separate from politics, we can say that it is still very political. So common kind of roles of interreligious alliances are usually they promote tolerance among different religions. They also promote a lot of symbolism. I think you can see in the photo some people of different religious faiths coming together And this is very, very common, where they come together for prayers, come together to celebrate each other's festivals, and they also promote respect for each other's religions. They promote appreciation of different religious customs, traditions, and values, and also celebrations. So sometimes Christians celebrate Buddhist festivals, Buddhists celebrate Hindu festivals, people of Islamic faith invite other religious people to come and celebrate their festivals. So these kind of things are very common among interreligious alliances. But I think some of the challenges are recognizing the intra-religious diversity. I think the first speaker also mentioned that. So for example, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic, but the Catholics happen to be the numerical majority among Christians in Sri Lanka, but there are a lot of other small Christian groups, numerically small Christian groups, and sometimes there's hostility among Catholics towards those Christian groups. Similarly, among the people of Islamic faith, women and youth are often not represented in interreligious alliance, particularly at leadership positions. So it's a challenge to have equal positions for all, especially for numerical minorities. So even I have experienced and seen and witnessed, even in interreligious alliances, the majority representatives are given prominence over the others. I think another challenge is joint actions for common good. We are, for example, protecting the environment, promoting peace instead of war. So these are, I think, actions for common good that interreligious alliances have come together in the past, but maybe not adequately. I think that is why I put it down as a challenge. And I think maybe the highest level of challenge would be to lay emphasis on religious freedom over religious coexistence. Sometimes I have seen interreligious alliances saying that we need to sacrifice the right to religious freedom for the sake of coexistence. So, for example, there are interreligious alliances which have said in the past that the religious minorities should tolerate some infringement on their rights just to maintain coexistence. And I think maybe along with that, the highest level of the action for interreligious alliances is to defend the oppressed, particularly when religious minorities are subjected to violence, discrimination, or violation of their rights in any form, and to show solidarity. So basically protecting the oppressed. And I have shown an example of a photo that I found. It's not from Sri Lanka, it's from Egypt, but I found that it's very inspiring photo of solidarity and defense. I think that is the aspiration that should go towards all interreligious alliances, where the majority can protect the minority and at the times of very, very great difficulties and oppression. So I think I'll stop here and hopefully have some time for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, RUKI, for providing that detailed infographic presentation that you brought with you here today. Yeah, you've categorically indicated the need of intra-religious alliances, and as our first esteemed speaker, Mr. Patankar, mentioned, this is a need of an hour, basically, that because as in my introduction, I have categorically mentioned that we should rise up against the common issues that we face. So it's about commonality, right? It does not mean that we have to be have to have a different color of skin or religion, sect or ethnic group. It's about the common issues that we face. We have to stand up and rise up against it. So moving on to our last speaker, who have risen up against the injustices and in her own state, Ms. CHANU SHARMILA, who does not need a second introduction, but she is also known as the Iron Lady of Manipuris, as an Indian civil rights activist, political activist, and poet from Indian state of Manipur, which is located on the northern east side of India. She has been called the world's longest hunger striker, as Dr. ANJUMAN also indicated earlier. On the International Women's Day during 2014, she had also been voted the top woman icon of India by Amazon Polls. Today, we will unpack the reasons of inter-religious alliances as well. So, CHANU SHARMILA, please unmute yourself. You can start proceedings.
Thank you for the invitation. And my speech would focus on to highlight news of Manipur's violence, as it's already 18 months still going on, and the Chief Minister is dealing biasly with the issue, blaming the cookies and defending the right military wings who consider cookies are immigrants and want them to be wiped out of Manipur, and the countries and this federal prime minister, federal state leader is still due to go to Manipur to stop the violence. So this in the religious reliance, I think, had never been happened in Manipur so far. So now is the time, I think, is say why we believe in God and keep a religion with that idea, whether it be to the Christian or to the Islamism or to Buddhism or Hinduism or Sanamahism, Jainism. In Manipur, six religions adopted there, in my understanding. So I think, say, their insight, divine insight about what's going on, why, how happened, and the remedy of it. I think they know it. If they are willing, they are more far influential than these potential political leaders and common people. So like the morning crows going to the slumbering like to evoke the rulers of the state as well as the country's top leader. I want them step up, thinking that nothing is permanent in this world. So while we live on this earth, we can't live in the sea or in the North Pole or in the South Pole. While we are living, say, as you know, that in that theory, human beings were originated from the same gene of a woman called Lucy. So this kind of migration or immigration thing is always happening, will happen depending upon the circumstances. So while we are living on this earth, I think this trying to live harmoniously as we can, live independently without depending on others. I just feel sorry around 60,000 for this last 18 months in relief camps. I learned 2 months back something, a security guard, how she came to know my number. I didn't know. She called on me and some setting was there, to which she said, and those in the relief camps, it was 40 rupees per person in the past. Now it's only 10 rupees per person. So that's a thing about it, how they live. All these sufferings are artificial cause. So the main thing is these the religious leaders, they know the root causes and the remedy, everything, and they are influencing, and they are influential leaders. They just don't bother to their own pursuit of eternal bliss. They are occupied, I think. But only some few ascetics who don't bother to cover their skins nor to talk, live in the Himalayan foot or in the deep forest. absolutely unsocialized. Unlike their strangeness, these religious leaders they can't live independently for bodily, just for resting, for what they wear, everything. They have some responsibility to heal the innocent people's hearts. Everything, if they just say, persuade the rulers, this violence would stop. My thinking is, thank you.
Thank you so much, CHANU Sharmilaji, for highlighting the deep-rooted issues that people from of your state are facing. And you have rightly highlighted that there is a need of alliances in Manipur, or state where the injustices and intolerances and violences are being perpetrated against certain groups of minorities. I would like to provide a bit of a recap to those who have joined us. Mr. Patankar, in his introduction, talked about the need of intra-religious alliances instead of inter-religious alliances, because different religion has different diverse groups and communities as well. So there is a need of intra-religious alliances, as per Mr. Patankar, Dr. ANJUMAN Begum, who provided her experiences, and on the basis of her legal expertise and the issues that women are facing in South Northeast India, have provided the insight about the issues and the need of alliances for the promotion of peace. And Mr. RUKI Fernando from Sri Lanka again talked about the religious coexistence. His infographic presentation was very insightful and was very relevant to our theme today. And Ms. CHANU Sharmila has always been the instrumental of raising the voices, raising her voice and for her community and her region as well. So on this very note, I would like to end our discussion today. And one of our participant remained silent throughout this session. If she would like to have any question or would like to ask any question, because initially I asked the question that there is a need of alliances to rise up against the injustices for a common group. So if there is a common group, which group is that? I would request Mr. Patanka or Ms. Begum as well to let us know about the existence of that group. Do we have any alliances of such groups in the past? Who would like to respond? Mr. Patanka? Or,
Yeah, I'd like to respond. Like, we don't have a, very strong, there are organizations like Ekta Parishad, and we don't have organization like that. But what I'd like to say that whenever there is a case or there's an incident of, then impromptu people has formed interreligious groups, peace committees, joint action committees. They exist in different forms, and they originated in a different ways. Not only professional, social workers, but also the common people. They themselves has formed this kind of groups and has responded to bring harmony and peace and in the conflict areas that I have talked about. And also there exist many organizations like farmers movements in Assam, then anti-dam movements, and whatever there are cases of injustice. A large number of women groups are also there, who may not be based on the feminist principles, but they do has a very, like the Mahila Samitis in Assam or the Mera Parvis in Manipur. They have a very strong hold and a strong movement for the justice. So I would like to say that it may not be shaped with the formal definition of the organization or alliances, whatever, but the community resistance and activism has been there in different shapes and phases.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Patankar, would you like to add something on this?
I think that I will take some examples after a planned toppling of the Babri Masjid. They expected big, and there were big attacks all over India on Muslim religious minority. But the experiment which we did in our practice, which we implemented in Maharashtra, was that we brought together all people from all religions, and basically more people from the majority religion who were farmers, who were agricultural laborers, and oppressed castes were brought together along with Muslim religious people, and big human chains were formed, and the mobilization amounting up to 1 lakh or so in three districts, per three districts was there, and to declare that we are here together to not allow any incidents to happen in our area. So that stopped whatever was they were trying to do. But in other areas, they could get involved into violence and attacks. This was one of the examples showing that the state, any government which is there, whether it is a government which is for attacking religious minorities or against attacking religious minorities, government and state cannot do much about it. Whenever people come together. So other example which was there, that people having reservations from all religious minorities and majority religion also, they come together and say that we are standing behind a minority religious people, and we say that we will not allow any injustice to happen. So this, as I told you, it was successful in such an extent that the government has to declare a kind of a research and the commission, so that the new provisions were declared for Muslim minority religious people in India. So people's movement is more effective, inter-religious coming together of people's movement.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat Patankarji, Dr. Anjuman Ala Begum, CHANU SHARMILA, and RUKI FERNANDO for providing us your great time, your valuable time to this webinar. So hopefully, I would like to conclude our session today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too, sir. Bye-bye.